Hello everyone. Before I go ahead and tell you what it is you're looking at exactly, I want to take the time to welcome each and every one of you to the Terrarium Ants channel. Terrarium Ants is dedicated to all things terrarium, all things ants, and all things living in general, to the little wonders that anyone can make a part of their lives. If you want to be a part of this journey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And now, without further ado, let us begin. It's January and I live in a concrete jungle. If you were to set foot outside in the cold, you would be hard pressed to find any signs of life. Aside from the grey buildings, the leafless trees, and the occasional crow or sparrow, there isn't much else to look at. Nature has seemingly all but forsaken these parts. Hopeful, my wife and I set out to bring a bit of nature back into our lives. We wanted a terrarium. You can think of a terrarium as a miniature ecosystem with plants, microfauna, and even its very own water cycle, complete with rain and evaporation. Even though this means you don't have to water it almost at all, keeping a terrarium comes with its own challenges. Life is a delicate thing. Now, this is obviously an empty jar, but with a bit of ingenuity and the correct ingredients, hopefully we can turn it into a terrarium. So, we went out into the cold winter in search for something. A particular small creature that entire ecosystems rely on for their very survival. We had done our research, the internet is all-knowing, so we had a vague idea where we might find this holy grail of terrariums. So we got to the park, but to our disappointment, aside from some grass and moss, no other living thing could be found on the cold, almost frozen soil, no matter how hard we looked. Our dream of putting together a terrarium in the middle of the winter was shattered. Almost. In an act of maybe hope, maybe desperation, maybe a bit of both, we collected some moss instead and some soil. We hoped that perhaps our miracle creature was hibernating in the soil, or maybe it laid eggs there. And once we brought it home, perhaps it would emerge from its slumber, greeted by the warmth of our home and thinking spring has arrived. "5 days have passed and we were getting a little bit anxious. Were they hatching? Were they alive? Were they even there? At first, there didn't seem to be any signs of creatures inside the moss or soil. But if there were any, I wanted to know for sure. I wanted to leave my camera running overnight, recording any potential activity in the soil. But I had no lighting and no camera setup, so I decided to put one together quickly. Attached some pieces of wood together, drilled a hole, mounted what is the base of a lava lamp, without the lava, and used that as a light source to illuminate the moss and soil overnight. With everything in place, it was time to sleep. Checking the footage next day, you won't believe what the camera caught. Look, did you see it? Look again, on the rice, don't blink. It is our miracle creature. The footage you're looking at right now has been recorded over a period of 5 hours. All of it sped up so that it plays back within 5 minutes. Slowly, one by one, it is as if all the creatures that lay dormant in the soil are now coming back to life. Pay attention to what's happening on the rice, because that is what our little creatures feed on. Well, to be precise, they feed on the fungi that grows on the rice. The rice has been there for a few days. I believe it is time to reveal our mystery invertebrate. It is the springtail. Now, initially we set out to find a specific species of springtail called Falsomia candida. They're white. However, it appears that these are black, so I took the time to look into what kind of species they might be. And while I'm not entirely sure, I believe they're a species called Tetracanthella doftana, which are endemic to Romania. If you pay close attention to the tall plants, which I to this point don't know still what they are, you will notice that they're actually growing right in front of your eyes. Now, pay attention to the walls of the container in the background. If you look closely, you'll see a worm wiggle on the wall. Can you believe it? It looks like a juvenile. I had no idea this could happen. It's incredible. It's as if with our springtails, other creatures are emerging from slumber. I wonder what else we'll find in the upcoming days, awakening from the soil. Left undisturbed overnight, the container is now teeming with life. It's incredible. There is movement everywhere. Who would have thought inside this cold, almost frozen piece of dirt and moss there could be so much life inside, just waiting for that ray of sunshine and that little bit of warmth that comes with spring, for this entire small hidden world to just awaken. And now to tell you why these creatures, the springtails, are so important for an ecosystem. They are the decomposers, and any decaying matter they will turn back into nutrients for the plants to feed on, which is essential in a terrarium. Without them, the terrarium would be overcome with fungi and mold, and all the plants in the terrarium would die, suffocate. You could see some mold growing on the rice. It actually grew within the span of this recording. At the beginning of this recording, there was almost no perceivable amount of fungi on the rice. Now you might think this will harm the springtails, but don't be alarmed. This is exactly what springtails eat. This is their task, their job. Their job is to protect this terrarium from being overcome by mold. And hopefully in the next few days we'll see them multiply in the presence of this copious amount of food. And also hopefully we'll see the fungi being kept in check. With so much activity in this container, I am now confident that I have enough springtails to actually start a terrarium, an actual viable terrarium. I am so excited. I can't wait to see what this mini ecosystem has in store for us, and what other secrets it holds. And now, coming back to our mystery footage that was at the beginning of this video, I believe this is actually a springtail molt. I found it laying right on top of the moss, and right on time too, because this is their 5th day since I believe they hatched. And according to some science papers, their first molt happens after around 5 to 7 days after they hatched, which is right about now. This is great. This means in about 3 more molts, they will be ready to lay eggs and produce. And we'll be able to have a sustainable population that can take care of our terrariums from now on. This concludes our episode. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next episode, hopefully with some more exciting updates. And maybe even a new terrarium.